Do you want us to take our shirts off?
What color bra are you wearing?
Is your mom hot too?
Are you into me? Where do you live?
What color car do you have?
Where do you live?
What's your address?
You want us to come over?
Do you like pizza?
You've been to a motel.
We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is for March 14th, 2024. Got it. I'm Bernie Burns. With me, sitting right over there. Have you been to a motel? It's Ashley Burns.
Those guys, just like relentless question after question after question. That's you the second I open my eyes.
That's literally why I played that this morning. Because
Oh my God.
I hit Ashley when she was waking up this morning. I hit her with about 10 questions. And then I said, am I asking you too many questions? And fucking dead silence. Nothing. To where I even thought, don't ask, don't ask, don't ask, don't say it, don't say it. And I go, is everything okay? Did I ask you too many questions? All I got was. But that was we were talking about this a little bit right before we started, Ash. That's from a movie called Sex Drive. Which can you look it up and see what was the release year for Sex Drive? But that is a dead era now of movies where it was a teenage like sex comedy,
romp.
And I don't think they make teenage sex comedies anymore. You know,
They make sex dramas. Like
Euphoria, right?
Yeah, like there are a lot of shows and movies and things that deal with youth sexuality, but not a lot of them are raunchy comedies right now.
Euphoria is weird to me because it's kind of like the flip of what we had as a kid. Like when I watch Euphoria, and this might be just because I'm older, but when I see Euphoria, it's people in high school, but they seem like the characters themselves seem like they're much older because of all the stuff they're doing, like clubbing. And so it's like young people who are trying to be in older situations. Whereas when we were watching movies in the 80s and 90s, it was high school stuff like classrooms and things like that. But it was 30-year-olds playing the part. So it was old people acting young. And now it feels like young people trying to act old. Does that make sense?
It does. And I remember you turn 17, whatever, and you're like, wait, why don't I look like Rizzo?
And I always think it was like, it's not even the people were older too. I think when you go back and look at it now, they're dressed in the style of that time. So they just inherently look older to you because that's a style you associate with older people in your life.
I have a great example of this.
Yeah?
And that is, have you ever seen the photo of the Golden Girls cast and the Sex and the City cast where the actors are the same ages, but the Golden Girls are they're
old biddies.
They're old biddies. They've got the white hair. They've the hair puffs and everything. And the Sex and the City girls are dressed to the nines and they're sleek and sexy and the long hair and the crazy shoes. And it's interesting to me that they're the same age, but I look at the ones and I'm like, no, they're the old ladies. These are totally normal ladies. They're ladies that are absolutely my age, by the way.
I didn't want to say it.
But yeah, it's because of the time. Like I just associate that as like they have to be old. They have to be. Otherwise, what does that make me?
What year was Sex Drive? What year?
2008.
2000. It doesn't even. It seems like even further back than that. It seems like that would have been something from late 90s.
I feel like a lot of mini movie genres kind of go in runs, right? Where, and it's like take Westerns. They had like a decade, a big solid decade. And I feel like the raunchy teen comedy had like a run. It was longer than a decade, but it had a run. And we're just sort of out of that subgenre now. And if we were to have that subgenre again, it wouldn't be in theaters anyway. You would all be on streaming because that's the level of movie that those are operating at.
Yeah. And there were cycles, and I felt like one of the cycles that got interrupted, like to me, in movies, there's always like vampires come back around. I don't know why, like monster stuff.
Pirates
come back around.
Zombies.
Cowboys come back around. And then there's always like a medieval thing that comes back around. And I feel like that got heavily interrupted by Harry Potter. Like Harry Potter was that generation's medieval Excalibur thing. Like J.K. Rowling co-opted that whole
Lord
thing.
of the Rings. They're oh man, there were some weird ones in the 80s. That was a weird but like great, interesting time for fantasy. What was the one where Tim Curry played the devil?
That was called Legend, and it was probably the best portrayal of Satan that I've ever seen in my life.
It was very
You know who else is in that as the hero?
Who?
You talk about Tim Curry as
Wait,
the devil.
isn't that young Tom Cruise?
It's Tom Cruise.
Young
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
That's right.
So I was looking while we're talking about old rompy movies. I laughed my ass off the other day because I saw an interview with the guy who's in Dude, Where's My Car, but isn't Ashton Kutcher. You know, over the years, I've gotten so much grief about how I say the name Ashton Kutcher. How do you say it?
Ashton Kutcher.
Okay. I think in the past I've said Ashton Kutcher.
I think you have. I've heard it, and I've just been like, okay.
I'll work on it. So it's like Butcher with a K?
You mean Sean William Scott, right?
Sean William Scott. Thank you. I was going to say Thomas Hayden Church. I knew it was like a 3 name, but that's not right. Sean William Scott. Yeah, he was doing an interview, I think, with Conan O'Brien. It was a short that I was seeing, one of these like YouTube shorts, and I think I whistled there.
You did.
So that's the weird thing. I don't know if it picks it up on mic. I whistled, and I do that every now and then. I can never replicate it because I think it's a secret to being able to do the big loud whistle, which I've never been able to do. I was watching Destin from Smarter Every Day, someone teaching him how to whistle, and the joy in his face when he was able to put the 2 fingers in your mouth and whistle super loud, the joy in his face of a I think he's in his 40s guy finally learning how to do that. I was like, I want to feel that joy because I have wanted to be able to whistle that loud my entire life. So when I whistle accidentally, I wish I could replicate it. Can't do it.
You can't do it. It's like the weird things that happen that you could never replicate. Catching a belt loop on a doorknob. Or looping something around. It's always doorknobs. Why is it always doorknobs? Or like getting something looped around like the edge of a chair or something that you could never do if you were trying to do it. And then this freak thing happens and you're just annoyed by it.
Like I always
This
think about
miracle of chances.
I always think about that behind my PC because every now and then I'll go back and straighten out the cables behind my PC. And every single cable, the Ethernet cable, the video cable, the power cable, the headphone cables, the keyboard mouse cables, they're all in a big tangled mess back there.
How did they do that?
How did that happen?
Were
'Cause
they
I didn't
talking to each other? Did they throw a party?
Like when I plugged them in, I didn't weave them through each other and then plug them in. I plugged them in separately and then laid them down. The only thing I'm moving really probably is the mouse from that point on. But it's all a jumble back there. And if like I try to unplug it and then pull it through that mess, it always gets caught. Yet I think if I tried to grapple that by throwing a cable into it, I would never be able to do it. But if I just leave it alone, it'll become this incredibly tangled mess somehow or some way.
It's gremlins.
So Sean William Scott was talking with Conan, and they were talking about, dude, where's my car? And they were laughing about how stupid it was. And then he revealed that there was on the table, there was a proposed sequel to Dude, Where's My Car? Do you know what the title of the movie was?
I can only guess. What was it?
Title, I guess it's straight face. The title of the movie was, seriously, Dude, Where's My Car?
That's so on brand.
I just love when people don't give a fuck, when they don't give a fuck at all.
Well, it's nice if you're making a movie like that, right? You know exactly what it is. You know exactly what it is, and you can have fun with it. You don't need to be like serious and highbrow. You just have a nice time.
There is, though, to me, it's like, it's one thing to know what it is. It's another thing to like have this funny, clear vision of, oh, it's just going to be a giant goof and get a major studio to pay for it. You know what I mean? That's the wild part.
That's one of the things that's impressed me a lot about like the Adam Sandler comedy groups and Will Ferrell comedy groups, right? They go and they do a movie, and the premise of these movies is always just utterly ridiculous. They get a studio to foot the bill, so that they and their friends can go and have like a great time in some weird location and just goof off and make a movie.
Yep. There was a movie with, gosh, I'm trying to think, where they did like couples therapy, and they went and
I think it was called Couples Therapy,
and I think the people
Couples Retreat.
Yeah, and the people in the movie literally said, I just wanted to shoot a movie in Hawaii or whatever. And that's why they went and did it. Because if you're shooting a movie, it's like 3 months and lots of, especially if I recall correctly, it was 3 different couples. So even if you're one of the main leads in the movie, you're probably only in about a third of the movie as they go back and forth between the different couples.
Right, you're going to have a couple of days off from filming here.
Yeah, to hang out and just enjoy Hawaii. I recently read that average home prices, Hawaii is the highest in the United States. The average home price is over $900,000 for a house.
For the average.
On average. I mean, it makes, if there's going to be, you're going to pick a place in the U.S. that's going to have high dollar real estate, I would probably pick Hawaii as being that place. A, it's limited, and B, it's coveted. You
Yes,
know?
2 of those things. And 3, you could get a free lava field at any point.
And listen, it could happen tomorrow. Here it comes. You get a 1-year break on your real estate property tax.
Oh, man.
I had a friend who we were growing up in Alief, Texas, and gosh, I haven't thought about this person in years. Her name is Shannon, and she went off to the University of Hawaii. And it was so cool, like growing up in Alief, that somebody was going to Hawaii for university. And she came back after like a year. She just couldn't take it. She was like, it's like every single day, the weather's the same. Every single day, it's like, what do you want to do? It's like, let's go to the beach, you know? And that's what you did every single day. And it's like utterly paradise until it's not, kind of a thing. And she came back from Hawaii after that.
One of the things that we like here is the change of seasons. That what you're doing and what is coming up is always something different. There's always something a little bit different to look forward to. Right now, the snowdrops are out. The daffodils are just starting to bloom. Daffodils, according to our 4-year-old. And after that, there's going to be the tulips. And then the rhododendrons are going to come out. There's always, and I'm putting this in flower context because, you know, I'm a dork, but it's just things change. Soon we'll look forward to strawberries and then blueberries and then raspberries and plums and all that. And then we'll get to autumn and the leaves will change and it's going to be absolutely stunning to go on these walks with the orange leaves. We did not have orange leaves in Texas. This is stunning here. And then we'll hermit up for the winter again. It'll be cozy and snowy and we'll start fires. Right now, hermiting up sounds boring because I've been doing it for a couple of months.
Yeah, we have.
But you get that change, right? You get to do something different every season. And so it doesn't have enough time to really get that boredom settle in. If you're going to the beach every single day, yes, that is absolute heaven. You're right, until it's not.
So Ash, help me out here because I can't figure this out. I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know if it's because we moved from Texas specifically or if it's a UK thing because we moved here. But one of the things I've really loved about our new home country is like the horticulture subculture that just runs through everyone here. Like people that I knew who lived in the UK before I came over here, I had no idea how much they were into gardening and nature. Like they can identify plants, identify trees, flowers. They're completely into it. Is that a UK thing or is that because I'm getting older?
Are we going to name some names?
Yeah. Should we?
All right, we're talking about names. We're talking about Dan Grucci.
I had no idea that Dan Grucci was a country guy.
From Slow-Mo Guys. We have always encountered him in a city environment. Las Vegas, LA, Austin, that kind of thing. And so we knew him as the city boy who can't read a menu. And then we moved here. He came to visit us and then he's like, "Oh, do you know the difference between bracken and ferns? And
right.
That's that ferns grow from a central point, and bracken just grow up individually." And I was like, "Who the fuck are you?"
That really took me by surprise. What a completely pleasant surprise. So it's a UK thing, right? It's not just because I'm getting older and getting into gardening.
Potentially, but it might also just be that you know people in a certain context, and when that context is challenged, like in this case with us, we just made the assumption, I did at least, that he lived in London and he was a city boy through and through. And then we found out that no, he always lived in the country. He just adapts to the city when he needs to. And, and so that's just something that I just never knew about him. That always existed about him.
Well, I think it's also, I'm also wondering if it's because we moved from Texas, which is a very difficult state to garden in.
What kind of you can grow peaches and cactuses? And pecans.
Well, they have seasons in Texas as well. There's January and then summer. That's what you get. we Ashley, in preparation for coming over here, Ashley, we built a box garden and you started gardening. I do know a lot of people who have attempted gardening in Texas. Like they've given it a shot, right? And so your experience was similar to that. We built a box garden. You were very happy. And then the deer ate everything that you had.
Yeah, we got a rogue deer. It ate everything down. And what it didn't eat didn't survive the heat anyway. And it all wilted and died. Mint died.
Yeah.
Mint is like an invasive predator. And the mint died. don't know how.
We spent some time on that thing too. Like we had that little drip irrigation system that I built for you, and we like tied it into the rest of the irrigation.
We did. We built the whole thing out of cedar so it would last. It's going to outlast the house. Nothing's going to grow in it, but it's going to be there.
And it's also the environment here. You know what I mean? It's like you come here, it's like you just talked about rhododendrons earlier. I'm learning a lot. This is a deficit that I've had that I'm really excited to be learning about in what was retirement and now is whatever this is.
Is this a zombie career?
Ashley has a rhododendron bush. What would you call it? Rhododendron hedge?
Block.
Holy
it's
shit.
Huge. There's
You spend no time on this thing.
No.
And when it blooms in the spring, we'll post a photo of it. Or maybe I'll post one from last spring. It's insane. This thing is gigantic and just like it's a wall of flowers, basically.
Yes, a rhododendron, it's a flowering shrub. It flowers in May, and they grow pretty unattended here. They just grow wild. And we have a couple that are like they're the size of small houses.
Can you help me out here?
I can try.
A shrub. You called it a shrub. What's the difference between a shrub and a hedge? Is a shrub a hedge that's just kind of given up? Like it's not trying?
Okay. Well, keeping in mind that I am only an amateur dabbling horticulturist, I define a shrub as unlike a tree, it grows from the base, right? It grows out bushy from the base. A hedge is a shrub you trim.
Okay. Gotcha. It's putting in the effort.
Trim it in a shape, keep it tight.
Like you're not going to like go up to a shrub early in the morning and ask it 10 questions, right? So you can't. It's not going to deal with that. Like, let me have a cup of coffee, trim the top layer, and I'll be okay. Good. Okay, I think I got it. But we're really excited. It's we never talk about our chickens, which are our little best friends.
Yeah, we have Vera, not Vera, and Cheeky.
We're down to 3 chickens. We at one point had 5. And we're down to 3 chickens, which Vera and not Vera. Those are our 2 red chickens. And yeah, they're up by the house right now, but they're going to go further away from the house. We kept them close for the winter because we wanted to keep them safe, keep them warm. We could keep near electricity and that kind of thing. This reminds me. We're talking about stupid stuff in the past week that has made me laugh because I've needed some stuff to laugh about this last month. Somebody posted on Reddit. They posted something like an Ask Reddit or a shower thought or something. And I have thought about this probably once a day for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the question was very simple. It said, what were electric eels called before they discovered electricity? I don't know why. I'm obsessed with that question because they still had the ability to shock you. Like they had electricity before the rest of us did. And electricity existed, like static electricity and lightning and stuff.
Lightning eels? So
I guess I just associate electricity with the invention of electricity that we, pass around in power devices with. But what did they call an electric eel? Was electric a term that we used before, 1500 AD?
Those are the shrieking eels.
Shocking. Was even shock? Was that a word you would use? Shock?
Maybe, because at the very least it would have come from the sort of emotion or the state of shock. I don't know, though.
Yeah.
So you've been thinking about this for 2 to 3 weeks and you haven't looked it up?
Don't you have that where it's like where am I going to look it up? Like ye old encyclopedia? Like
Yeah.
What was it called?
Go find one of those farmer's almanacs.
I don't know. Sometimes things are just better as a concept. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to know the actual answer because it's more intriguing to have the question just lingering out there. Because it'll have some like perfectly fine explanation, and it won't be worth the time to find out. It's yet another thing that the internet has ruined. What are you looking up?
You want me to ruin it?
Yeah, please.
Torpedo fish.
That's torpedoes are an invention as well. What was it before that?
Then clearly they borrowed their name because the Greek physician Hippocrates called electric sea creatures torpedo fish.
Torpedo must mean a Latin
Egyptians
term.
called electric fish thunder of the Nile.
Thunder of the Nile.
That's actually a pretty dope name.
That's fucking badass. That's gonna be my nickname. We put the kids to bed. Here comes Thunder of the Nile.
Shocking.
But while we're talking about the internet ruining things, TikTok You're on notice.
The House has voted to move forward with the proposed TikTok ban / forced sale. So now I guess it's got to go to the Senate, but it's on track to potentially be forced either to sell to a company that's not controlled by China, or it won't be available in app stores in the U.S. That's kind of the either or there. Turns out, by the way, this isn't actually the first time that that's happened. Something similar did happen with Grindr. There were concerns.
Go ahead.
You're going to love this. I know, Grindr. There were concerns that because it was owned by a Chinese-controlled company for a time, and there was national security concern that China could use it for blackmail because they would be able to get information on,
and that's the U.S. government's job.
Exactly. On politicians or I don't know, military personnel or something using the app, and eventually forced. I think it was a forced sale, but it changed ownership, so it's no longer controlled. So the TikTok is not going to be able to controlled by. It's 4 countries that are currently classified as basically oppositional to the U.S. China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia. Those are the 4 countries. So those are the basically countries of concern. They just don't want something that has that much user data and that much basically influence in the country being controlled by one of those 4 entities.
They don't want the competition. That's what it is.
They don't want the competition. And look, it works. It works. Look, I use Instagram. Do I think they're collecting less data on me, from Facebook than TikTok is? Probably not.
Well, we'll have a little bit more to talk about that for TikTok this week, because there was a user in the subreddit who gave me a lot of information about Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok. I think that's a good topic for tomorrow for Follow Up Friday. So if you're interested in that, tune back into that.
So many things to follow up tomorrow.
We have a lot of follow-ups for tomorrow. But that does it for us today. I do want to say very quickly thank you to Tony G. Anamore. That's at Gamma Tony on Instagram for making this podcast episode ad-free for the rest of our listeners.
Thanks, Tony.
Sponsorship does not equal endorsement.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, AI.
Listen, that's version 1.5. When we get to 2.0, it'll be indistinguishable from my voice.
Blow your mind.
Indistinguishable. All right, well, that does it for us today, Thursday, March 14th, 2024. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you'll be here as well.
Bye, everybody.